Today is Saturday, March 1st, 2025. This is my first of probably many recordings on a series that I'm starting. My name is Casey Anthony.
Not a single one of us want to hear from you. I don't know how you got here, but you need to be up out of here by 5 o'clock.
This beautiful little girl is Caylee Anthony. She was 2 years old when her life was taken from her.
According to the prosecutor, according to the evidence, they believed that Casey had used chloroform to knock her baby out and then duct taped her nose and her mouth.
Casey has now joined TikTok to try to reinvent her image.
Yes, our justice system did fail this sweet little girl because Casey Anthony should be behind bars.
While her body was sitting there in the woods by herself in a bag, this was her mother. You were out getting tattoos while she was missing. You were out partying while she was missing. You're out partying now.
30 days, her daughter was missing and not a sign of remorse on her face while she was out partying with different men.
Jury still found her not guilty. Not only did she walk, not only did she get her freedom when she should have got the needle, now y'all want to make her famous?
It's bad enough that she's able to walk around free as if she didn't do shit. Do not give her a platform to monetize off of that child.
The whole point of this is for me to begin to reintroduce myself. I'm doing this both personally for me, but in a professional capacity.
Casey has kept her comments off on her account.
Go back to wherever you were hiding in Florida.
There aren't that many cases, especially when it comes to criminal cases, that has shaken up America like the Casey Anthony case did.
911, what's your emergency? There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car. Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name? Caylee, Caylee, Anthony.
So basically, back in 2008, she was thrust into the national spotlight when she was accused of killing her 2-year-old daughter, Caylee Anthony. At this time, the media, they wasted no time in dubbing her the most hated mom in America. And her trial had everything. It had a missing child, it had sketchy testimonies, and it also had this dramatic twist and a final verdict that left millions of Americans absolutely furious. Despite what seemed like a mountain of evidence, Casey was found not guilty, and this was a decision that sparked outrage and endless debate.
As to the charge of first-degree murder, verdict as to count 1, we the jury find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, on this 5th day of July, 2011, signed for person.
Fast forward more than a decade later, and she's back into the public eye, reportedly trying to reshape her image, possibly even dabbling into TikTok of all things. But how did she go from this regular young mom to one of the most despised figures in modern history, especially in America? So that being said, let's break down the Casey Anthony case. We'll speak about what happened after the trial and where she is now. But before then, let me introduce myself. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Jewel and welcome. On this channel, I speak about whatever I want to speak about, whether they're trendy or not. I give deep dives, documentary, social commentary, whatever. Like, I speak about it, whatever piques my interest, I speak about it. And if you want to see me tomorrow or next week, kindly click on the subscribe button, like this video, share this video if you care. And that being said, let's get straight into this video. So now let's speak about the early life and the background of Casey Anthony. Casey Anthony was born on the 19th of March 1986 in Warren, Ohio, to George and Cindy Anthony. On the surface, her early years seemed very typical. She grew up in a middle-class household. She had a close-knit family and she appeared to have a relatively normal upbringing. But beneath this seemingly ordinary exterior, there were already hints of the behavior that would later make her infamous. From a very young age, Casey developed a habit of always bending the truth, aka, let's just put it bluntly, she had this habit of always lying. Family members and friends, they would recall that she would often make up stories. Sometimes she would make up stories about the smallest things, other times she would make up stories about big things. One of the most telling examples came during her high school years. While she walked into her graduation ceremony making it look like she earned enough credits for her to get her diploma, in reality, she had not earned enough credit for her to get her diploma to graduate with her classmates. But because her family members expected that she would have graduated by this time, instead of her to admit the truth, she just kept up this act. She let her family members believe that she had successfully finished school. Meanwhile, in reality, she hadn't. This pattern of dishonesty would follow her way deep into her adulthood, and this would play a very big major role in the events that led up to her trial. Whether it was about her education, her job, or even the whereabouts of her own daughter, Casey seemed to live in a world where the truth was very, very optional. And as the world would soon find out, this tendency to manipulate reality would have devastating consequences on Casey. That being said, let's speak about motherhood and the rising tensions when it came to Casey Anthony. In the year 2005, Casey Anthony gave birth to her daughter Caylee Marie Anthony. Despite the joy that often comes with welcoming a new baby, Kaylee's birth was surrounded by mystery. Most notably, the biggest mystery around Kaylee's birth was the identity of her father. At first glance, Casey appeared to embrace motherhood. Friends and family, they recalled seeing her dote on Caylee, taking photos of Caylee, and just appearing affectionate to Caylee. But behind closed doors, things weren't as picture perfect as they may seem. Tensions within the Anthony household, they were bubbling beneath the surface with Casey's mother, Cindy. So basically, Cindy, she had stepped in as the primary caregiver of Caylee. So while Cindy adored her granddaughter, she reportedly grew frustrated with Casey's lack of responsibility when it came to her daughter, Caylee. I know there are so many KCCC's names. So basically, Casey is the person we're speaking about today. Cindy is Casey's mom and Caylee is Casey's daughter. So Cindy is Kaylee's grandmother and Casey's mom. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyways, Casey, meanwhile, she seemed pretty determined to just maintain her carefree, party-going lifestyle. And instead of fully stepping into the role of a dedicated mother, she continued going out, she continued attending clubs and socializing as if nothing had changed. And as time went on, the strain between Casey and her parents just deepened, and they had heated arguments over Kaylee's upbringing, and this was not just a one-off thing, it was something that became even more frequent. This tug of war over responsibility would eventually set the stage of a tragic series of events, and this is one that would leave an indelible mark on the history of American true crime saga or American true crime scene, whatever, pick whatever you want. So basically, this is where it leads us to the disappearance of Caylee Anthony. By mid-2008, Casey Anthony's behavior just took a bizarre and deeply unsettling turn because for 31 days, little Caylee Anthony, she was missing. Yet, Casey acted as if nothing was out of the ordinary. She did not call the police, she did not seem to have panicked that she had not seen her daughter for 31 days, and she certainly didn't even behave like a frantic mother who was searching for her child. Instead of her to do all these things, she was out partying at clubs, she was out shopping, and she even got a new tattoo that read Bella Vita, which means beautiful life in Italian. So basically, to others, she appeared so carefree, she was laughing, she was drinking, she was taking photos with friends, while her daughter was nowhere to be found. It wasn't until the 15th of July 2008 that the alarm was finally raised. And the funny thing is that it was not raised by Casey, it was raised by Casey's mother, Cindy Anthony. And this was after weeks of getting vague and suspicious excuses from her daughter Casey about the whereabouts of Caylee. Cindy, at this point, after asking Casey so many times about the whereabouts of Caylee, she had had enough and she tracked Casey down. She demanded to know where Caylee was, and upon receiving no clear answer, she decided to call 911. And during the call, this was when Cindy uttered the now famous word.
911, what's your emergency? There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name?
Caylee, Caylee, Anthony. My daughter's been looking for. I told you my daughter was missing for a month. I just found her today, but I can't find my granddaughter.
Is your daughter there?
Yes.
Can I speak with her?
They want to talk to you.
Hello? Hello? Can you tell me a little bit what's going on?
My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
And you last saw her a month ago?
31 days.
And why are you calling now? Why didn't you call 31 days ago?
I've been looking for her and have gone through other resources to try to find her, which was stupid. Okay, I think the officers are here.
When pressed by police, Casey, she scrambled for an explanation, but instead of giving a straight answer, she spun an elaborate web of lies as usual. So she claimed that Caylee had been kidnapped by her longtime nanny, Zenaya Zani Fernandez Gonzalez, and this is a person who, as investigators quickly discovered, did not exist. But in reality, there was somebody with that name. There was someone with that name who later sued Casey Anthony. I think she never knew Casey Anthony prior to this, and obviously, just like the media always does, they found someone with that name and they literally threatened her. So she sued Casey Anthony because she was like, yo, I am here catching heat for something I know nothing about. So she sued them. I don't know what came about with the ending of that case.
Anthony claims that Gonzalez was her babysitter. More than 2 weeks after her first meeting with Wesh 2, Gonzalez sat down with Michelle Meredith again to discuss her new lawsuit against Casey and her innocence.
Today, Zenaida Gonzalez walked into the room wearing a suit and a smile, so different from the first time we met her.
When they told you that you had been accused of kidnapping, I almost died.
In fact, the first time we met Zenaida, she was afraid to show her face. Not anymore.
I'm still scared. Don't get me wrong, I'm still scared, you know. But I got somebody that's going to help me, clear my name.
Now, Zenaida has a new attorney, John Morgan, and a new attitude. She plans to make Casey Anthony pay in court with a defamation lawsuit.
She threw me into this mess. I didn't ask to be brought into it. You think I would like this and be in the media? No, I don't like that, man. That's not my life. My life is done quiet, stay to myself with my kids.
Zenaida's life changed the minute Casey Anthony said her name. In July, Casey told investigators Caylee was kidnapped by the babysitter, a babysitter named Zenaida Gonzalez.
You feel like you're in jail without being in jail. That's how it feels.
How Casey got that name, still the subject of endless debate. While apartment hunting, though, Zenaida did visit the Sawgrass Apartments where Casey had friends. A record of Zenaida's visit was on file.
We know through police records that Casey's phone pinged from around the Sawgrass Apartments area.
And that's what we're trying to come with, to find some closure, find some peace in all this. And not only peace for my family and my children, but for peace for that little girl.
That little girl, of course, is Caylee Anthony. Casey has 30 days to respond to Zenaida's lawsuit.
But anyways, this shocking revelation just marked the beginning of a criminal investigation that will captivate the nation, reveal deception, inconsistencies, and a case that would go down as one of the most controversial cases in the history of America. So now let's talk about the investigation and the trial. This case took a very tragic turn because in December 2008, investigators they discovered Caylee Anthony's skeletal remains in a wooded area just a short distance from the Anthony's family home. So basically, the discovery was so grim. Her tiny bones that were found inside a trash bag, and there were traces of duct tape around her skeletal skull. Yeah, so basically, these findings just led Casey Anthony to be arrested immediately by the authorities as suspicion around her has been mounting for several months. In the eyes of the prosecutors, they had a very solid case against Casey Anthony. The prosecutors, they wasted no time in building their case. They argued that Casey Anthony had intentionally murdered her daughter, theorizing that she had used chloroform to sedate Caylee before suffocating her with a duct tape. Prosecutors, they pointed to incriminating internet searches found on the Anthony's family computer, including phrases like how to make chloroform and neck breaking, and they painted Casey as this selfish young woman who saw her daughter as an obstacle to her party lifestyle, choosing freedom over motherhood. And what is even very scary is that this person was 2 years old. Her daughter was 2 years old, and she was old enough to know things, differentiate things. She was also old enough to speak. So coming on this case, I'm like, oh my god, this is someone that even though she was 2, she was able to differentiate between good and bad, but able to also differentiate like between pain and love, and she was able to ref through her own emotions. And this was a thing where her mom had allegedly killed her, and it's so scary. But again, in a very shocking move, the defense, they presented an entirely different version of events. So this led the defense attorney Jose Baez to argue that Caylee's death was not a murder but a tragic accident. He claimed that Caylee had drowned in the family swimming pool, and in a panic, Casey's father, Judge Anthony, helped to cover it up, and that Casey's erratic behavior stemmed from years of trauma.
Guys, can we please talk about the new documentary with Casey Anthony's parents, because they're speaking out and Casey has been caught lying. Which, big surprise, right? We already knew that she was like the biggest liar of all time. To refresh your memory, Casey had said not only did her dad, George, attack and violate her, but that he also did that to her daughter, Caylee, and that that's what caused Caylee's death. Then that he staged the drowning, covered it up, this whole thing. Well, now they are taking a polygraph test, and they are answering all the questions. Such as, have you ever inappropriately touched Casey or Caylee? Did you know anything about Caylee's disappearance? Did you have anything to do with hiding Caylee's body? I mean, when I tell you my jaw was on the floor, my jaw was on the floor. In this new documentary, Casey's parents also are watching Casey's Peacock documentary for the first time, where she makes allegations like her dad used to hold a pillow over her face, that he made these insane Google searches the day that Caylee disappeared. I mean, the works. So I'm going through the polygraph test, the results, the reaction to the Peacock documentary, the weird body behavior in this new documentary, and the fidgeting and the things that didn't really sit right, breaking it all down. Just dropped the episode on the podcast. Go listen. Oh, you are going to be blown away, and I'm actually very interested to see what you think about these parents after you hear this. Were they involved or were they not involved? Did they know anything or did they not know anything? You tell me.
The trial, which ran from May to July 2011, was a media spectacle because every moment was dissected on TV with legal analysts, journalists, and everyday Americans just weighing in on the situation. Casey's reputation suffered tremendously, not just because of the accusations, but because of her own actions. And she had lied repeatedly, she showed little emotions, and she had been seen partying while Caylee was missing. To the public, she just seemed detached, unbothered, and also even small at times.
Hi, sweetie. We're not doing well, kids. Someone just said that Caylee was dead this morning. Surprise, surprise.
And the thing is, like, again, you're saying your child got kidnapped by her nanny, or you went out partying and all these things. Like, why didn't you raise awareness? Why didn't you call the police if you were sure that this person got kidnapped by somebody that you already suspected the child got kidnapped by? She did not act like she was frantic or anything. And despite the damning circumstantial evidence, the prosecutors, they lacked definite proof of how Caylee died. And in the end, the uncertainty led to one of the most controversial verdicts in American history, because on the 5th of July 2011, the jury found Casey Anthony not guilty of murder, manslaughter, or child abuse, and they only convicted her on 4 counts of providing false information to law enforcement.
In the Circuit Court for the 9th Judicial Circuit in and for Orange County, Florida, State of Florida versus Casey Marie Anthony. As to case number 2008 CF 15606-0. As to the charge of first-degree murder, verdict as to count 1, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, on this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of aggravated child abuse, verdict as to count 2, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of aggravated manslaughter of a child, verdict as to count 3, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of providing false information to a law enforcement officer, verdict as to count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of providing false information to a law enforcement officer as charged in the indictment. So say we all, dated Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of providing false information to a law enforcement officer, verdict as to count 5. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of providing false information to a law enforcement officer as charged in the indictment. So say we all, dated Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed for person. As to the charge of providing false information to a law enforcement officer, verdict as to count 6. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of providing false information to a law enforcement officer as charged in the indictment. So say we all, dated Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed for person. As to the charge of providing false information to a law enforcement officer, verdict is to count 7. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of providing false information to a law enforcement officer as charged in the indictment. So say we all, dated Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed for person.
Will counsel and the defendant approach the podium? Not all the counsel, but just representative sample.
And when this verdict read, the whole courtroom, they gasped because what are you saying, not guilty? The public, they were outraged, they were so angry, and Casey Anthony walked free just days later. And this forever was cemented as one of the most infamous figures in time of true crime history. Obviously, I'm not a true crime channel, but there's a reason why I'm bringing this case to light, which I'm going to speak about later on in this video. That's why I'm not really going in depth as to like everything going on. I'm just giving like surface talk about like the history, and we're arriving somewhere. So now let's speak about the aftermath of this whole saga. Because the not so guilty verdict, it obviously sent shockwaves through the country, and millions of Americans, they had followed the trial closely. They were convinced that Casey Anthony was responsible for the death of her daughter. So when the jury acquitted her of murder, outrage just erupted because she was done with the courts, the legal system, and now it was time for her to face the court of public opinions. And this was worse than whatever she would have gotten from the legal side of things, because so many people protested against Casey Anthony, and they gathered outside of the courthouse. They were very furious at what seemed like an open and shut case, and they were angry that this had led to like an acquittal. There were TV hosts and legal analysts that slammed the decision. Even Nancy Grace, if you guys know the famous Nancy Grace, she's like a reporter. She actually called Casey the most hated mom in America, and she declared that the devil is dancing tonight. The media, they did not hold back. Casey was painted as this heartless, cold-blooded killer who had dodged justice. Everywhere she went, she faced hostility, she faced death threats, she faced public shaming, and she was a total social exile. Like, employers wouldn't hire her, strangers, they literally harassed her, and any attempt for her to rebuild her life was just met with this severe public backlash. For the next several years, Casey mostly disappeared from public view. She lived under the radar, supported by a small inner circle. Reports surfaced about her bouncing from job to job, including a failed attempt to start a photography business, and this was an endeavor that ended swiftly because when the public found out that she was starting a photography business, they came for her house and she had to end it quickly. And in 2013, she filed for bankruptcy, citing massive legal debt. And despite efforts to just fade into obscurity, Casey's name never really left the headlines because every rare sighting or new development just sparked fresh waves of outrage. And even years later, one thing remained clear: the American public wasn't ready to forgive or to forget Casey Anthony. So now that leads us to her attempt at reinvention and social media's role in her attempt at reinvention. Recently, Casey Anthony has tried to take a different route in life, and she has aimed to reinvent herself and step back into the public spotlight. And in a move that shocked so many people, she released a video suggesting that she might be considering launching a TikTok account and potentially becoming an influencer.
Today is Saturday, March 1st, 2025. This is my first of probably many recordings on a series that I'm starting. I am a legal advocate. I am a researcher. I've been in the legal field since 2011. And in this capacity, I feel that it's necessary, if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate, that I start to advocate for myself and also advocate for my daughter. For those of you who don't know, my name is Casey Anthony. My daughter is Caylee Anthony. My parents are George and Cindy Anthony. This is not about them. This is not in response to anything that they have said or done. That's not to say that I'm not going to respond at some point to some of the things that they have said and done. The whole point of this is for me to begin to reintroduce myself. I'm doing this both personally for me, but in a professional capacity. Moving forward, the majority of what you will see will be me speaking in a professional capacity. My goal is to continue to help give a voice to people, to give people tools and resources that they can utilize so they actually know where they can turn to. So with that, please join me on Substack. If you have questions, I will set up an email address where we can correspond directly. Up until this point, that has never happened, and it's only going to be on a limited basis regarding legal issues, legal matters. One of the main reasons that I'm doing this, there are people close to me who have been targeted and attacked recently. There are also people close to me who have had some recent things occur, and when necessary, people needed to step up, myself included. So as a proponent for the LGBTQ community, for our legal community, women's rights, I feel that it's important that I use this platform that was thrust upon me and now look at as a blessing as opposed to the curse that it has been since 2008. With that, these aren't going to be perfect. They're not going to be edited. Most of the time, they're not going to be short. But I am proverbially standing in the light, embracing this piece, still going to keep my privacy intact, so you will get very comfortable with my car, and I will explain in great detail why it's so important for people to protect their privacy. It's not just important to public figures, it's even more important to private individuals. And with the current climate in our country especially, it's that much more important, which is why I am utilizing the Substack platform. Yes, I am advertising this and publishing this on TikTok, possibly also through other meta platforms, but my intention is to separate from that and showcase even more why Substack is such an important resource for people to utilize moving forward. Anyway, I appreciate your time, and we'll see how this goes.
And this is a very bold move for somebody whose name is synonymous with one of the most high-profile, controversial trials in American history. But in today's world, social media is powerful and is a very powerful tool for shaping public personas. And for people like Casey, it's also a platform where anybody that is infamous can translate into significant attention. Last week, we spoke about Astrevino, how despite all the nonsense she's doing, she still has people who support her. We have people like Andrew Tate that has so many supporters. We have people that are so out of touch with reality, having so many supporters. So basically, she's coming into the spotlight. She's announced that she's going to start a TikTok channel. And given Casey's history, her return to the spotlight on social media could stir up intense reaction. Social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube are not just about posting cute pictures or like posting funny videos. They are there and they are industries in itself. Influencers with large followings, they can monetize their content, they can promote brands, and they can even make a living just by existing online. So Casey's idea of turning to social media just raises plenty of eyebrows, especially considering the fact that she's infamous and considering her notoriety. And let's not forget, this happened in 2005, so the new generation, they may not be like very privy to how intense this case was at that time, and they may see nothing wrong with it. They may even she may even create her own fan base, like maybe the Casey's group or Casey Logias or whatever, I don't know. And on one hand, it's very, very easy to speculate that Casey might be trying to capitalize on the internet infamy that has followed her for so many years. And I say this because people love drama. People love drama. And the shocking nature of her case just makes her a prime candidate for social media attention. The public is drawn to scandal, and in an age where viral content reigns supreme, the idea of Casey just sharing her life on TikTok, without a doubt, is going to draw millions of curious eyes, whether you support her or not. And whether it's people seeking to criticize or others genuinely curious about her own side of the story, the numbers would likely be massive. And in this way, or in a way, this could also be a strategy for her to monetize her notoriety and use it to her own advantage.
We're sweat to death. Okay.
She wants money. She wants you to pay her to listen to her talk. Can we all just take a fucking second and let us realize that Casey Anthony is flat out talking on TikTok as if she has nothing to be scared of. What is next, Carlo Mocha? Look at this. Subscriber only full and full archives for $365 Canadian a year, $1 a day. Or you can, where's my finger? You can pick this one, and you don't get any of them, just occasional public posts. She's trying to get paid to talk about legal matters.
However, it could also be very possible that Casey is seeking redemption or an attempt to rebuild her life in a more positive way, and she's hoping to control the narrative on her own terms. Social media has given so many people who were once in the shadows a chance to have their voices heard, and it has offered them a chance at personal reinvention. For Casey, this could be an attempt to just show a different side of herself, and this is one that was not defined by the trial, the media frenzy, or the overwhelming public hatred. Perhaps she believes that over time, sharing aspects of her life, whether they are personal, professional, or even emotional, could help shift the perception of her. And after all, social media just allows people to create their own stories and also present only the parts of themselves that they want the world to see. And again, even if she comes online and say all these things, she's known to be a liar. Will she say the truth? Because again, like I said, she's known to be somebody who lies. And then there's another layer here, because there is a layer of shock value. In a world of social media where attention spans are very, very short and people are constantly looking for new content, Casey's involvement in a platform would almost certainly attract an audience because of her past. Literally, just simply that. The media, they love headlines. There is the Shade Room, there is TMZ, there is the Jasmine Brands. They love headlines, they love shocking revelations, they love outrageous personalities, and it's also no secret that drama and controversy fills the online world. And when it comes to Casey Anthony, this case just offers both in spades. People, they will watch, they will follow, they will engage with her content, not because they necessarily care about her as a person, no, but because of the drama that surrounds her. So for so many people, I'd like to say the allure of watching somebody with such a very divisive past can be irresistible, and some people would tune into her hoping that maybe she would apologize, or maybe she would explain what happened, while others might just want to just see her fail. In short, she will attract just anybody and so many people because her story is so intertwined with controversy. And again, this is a world of social media where controversy just equates clicks. But the thing is, regardless of where people stand, one thing is clear: Casey Anthony's presence on social media will ignite conversations. It will provoke fresh debates about crime, punishment, and the lengths that people are willing to go in order to find and redemption. For Casey, the journey of reshaping her public image will be a balancing act between embracing her past, trying to change perceptions, and facing the inevitable backlash that comes with being infamous. And it's uncertain whether she will succeed in escaping the shadow of her past, but what is certain is that social media will play this crucial role in shaping whatever story unfolds next. In conclusion, I don't really have a conclusion because I think I've said my thoughts all over this video, but what do you guys think? Do you guys think that she's doing too much? Do you guys think she's doing too much, or do you guys think that she deserves to reinvent her life and come back to social media? What do you guys think? Because this case is nothing short of a touchstone, honestly. It's one of the most controversial legal dramas that has happened in modern times. And again, like, this is something that started as a tragic disappearance of her 2-year-old, and later on it was found that her child had died, and this was just a media spectacle that Casey just went from this ordinary normal person who was just known in her family and her friends to one of the most vilified women in America. And despite being acquitted in court, like, the public has never fully let go of what they think is right and what they think is the true nature of this case. And the anger, the confusion, the hurt surrounding Kaylee's death just lingers to this day, because when it comes to children, people don't joke about children. Like, even in the prison system, if you go to prison for killing a child or doing disgusting things to children, you're like at the bottom barrel. Like, people will literally come for your head. So, like, this is the court of public opinions. What do you guys think is going to happen? Do you guys think that at the end of the day we should let her be because this happened like over 20 years ago, or just 20 years ago? Actually, almost 20 years ago, because I think her child would have been either 18 or 17 now. Don't quote me on that. But, like, do you guys think that she should come back to social media, or do you think that people should just continue to roast her? What do you guys think when it comes to the case of Casey Anthony? And thank you guys so much for stopping by. I really do love and appreciate each and every one of you. And if you love this, kindly like, subscribe, share this video. Let's get this video to 1 million views, because I've been trying to reach 1 million views on a single video on my channel. And can this video be that? Thank you guys so much, and I really love and appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, bye.